Hey legends, and welcome back to the channel where we don't need to be invited to big events in order to have our own fun. If you followed the space for any length of time, you'll know that one of my favorite things to do around the time of the Nürburgring N24 race is record my own condensed 24-minute version in rFactor 2. Given that motorsports has largely gone virtual this year and we're about to see an actual 24 hours of Le Mans raced in rFactor in a couple of days, I thought, why not do the same thing? For those of you who have all the passion for endurance racing, but not necessarily the time to sit there for an entire day watching it. So we've set up a mixed grid of GTE, LMP2 and LMP3 cars with 60 times time compression at Le Mans. Let's go and have some fun. Alright, and welcome to the 24 Hours Le Mans in 24 minutes, the big boy racing event for those of us who are not quite big enough to be invited into the real thing. But we're still going to make it worth our while and see how hard the rFactor AI can race us here today. Take it nice and easy, try and avoid as much of that first lap itis as we can. I'm sure the AI is going to train up and do some very interesting moves up ahead there, so we're going to give them all the space that they need. Oh yeah, there are those moves. Oh. Whew, okay, alright, I think hopefully that's the worst of it. Let's be optimistic for now and say that's going to be the worst of it. Alright, catching up on the RSR here. Unfortunately, they do not have very much straight line performance. Very fun car to drive otherwise, and hopefully becomes a bit more competitive after the upcoming GT balance of performance. I'm guessing that's probably going to come in just before the Le Mans race. The official WEC race, not my personal little self-indulgence here. Always trying to bear in my entire strategy. Unfortunately, I've got soft compounds here, and all it takes is one lock-up for me to have a steering wheel that's going to try and judder my shoulders out of their joints. Flat spots, of course, being extremely aggressive in rFactor 2. Which is, you know, commensurate with everything I know from real life. Flat spots are no joke. Got LMP3s up ahead. So we're not going to be catching those. Just got to stay nice and consistent for now. If there are any GTEs, I'll probably trickle back. We just give them the time, stay nice and consistent. Brake earlier than we would otherwise. Nice and easy. Always astounds me just how much you have to slow down for those corners, especially with my current setup, that very much prioritizing low aerodynamic drag, minimum tire camber. So we're not very good at anything that involves turning the steering wheel. If it involves a straightaway, perfect, which is great. It feels like about 70% of Le Mans is a straightaway. These sections we're not so good at. Section probably being the slowest corner on the track. Very dangerous too. The Astro, the moment you cross the curb on the outside, will just send you flying. There's no grip there at all. Gotta say, sim racing on this track has given me a new level of respect for it. I was never a Le Mans guy, but I think understanding like the relatively low levels of grip that they deal with, all this crazy throttle feathering you have to do in this section, all the nuance, all the surprising nuance that goes into it. Certainly have a healthy respect for that now. Oh god, let's see if we can make another overtake here. Healthy aggression right there. Very healthy aggression. Goes without saying, you don't want to be caught in that sand pit on the outside. Wow. This car is definitely OP. AI set to about, I think, 104 at the moment. So if that's how it deals with AI at 104, I would hate to see it in a quote-unquote fair race. But that should be all the GTEs. Now, in my infinite wisdom, I forgot to turn on Crew Chief, so I have no idea where in the field I actually am. I'm getting no status updates. Have no idea what's going on. But in some way that makes it a little more exciting, doesn't it? Especially now, coming into dusk. One of the more interesting times of day in the rFactor engine, because you get to that point between the sun being up and down where you don't really get any illumination of the road. So you really struggle to see the ideal racing line as well as the corner apexes until, of course, the headlights eventually kick in when it becomes pitch black. The game certainly does look a smidge better, doesn't it, when the shadows lengthen. Everything gains that nice orange hue. And we drive into the sunset like some bad 80s action movie. Gotta say, all my failed attempts at doing this race thus far are making me appreciative for the extra practice I'm getting on this track. It's never been one of the big ones on my itinerary. But I think the more I drive it, the more I come to respect it. And if I did more online racing, I would probably really enjoy it. Getting in there really early with the brake, really early. Horribly missing the apex, but that's okay. We can let Mr. LMP3 pass. And really filling out that whole driving into the sunset cliche. Wish I could see the ideal racing line, but them's the brakes. Braking way too early there. Made a right mess of all that. Thinking that perhaps, just perhaps, I should have used a lower FOV when sitting 1.5 meters back from a very small screen. I'm sorry for being your traffic, Mr. LMP. I'm doing my best. Now, this is probably the most dangerous section for the Ferrari. It has a very twitchy on and off throttle character that I haven't been able to tune out of it quite yet. Oof. Well, at least that wasn't a drive-through penalty, so I'll take it. Oh man. Brake nice and early because they are going to outbrake me by several orders of magnitude. Just let them through, let them do their thing. Move on our merry way, getting some tow. It's about 3-4 seconds off my usual pace, so I don't quite know what's going on, but I will live with it. It's astounding how close the actual performance levels of LMP3s and GTEs are. I didn't really know that was the case, assuming of course that it is realistic. Hoping for one last tow down this straight, but I don't think it's going to happen. Mr. LMP2 up ahead, just leaving us way behind. I've probably ruined his race with my mediocrity. I'm really hoping that's an LMP3 behind us, not a GTE. For the sake of my own ego. Oh, did you see how late his brake lights came on? Oh, it's impressive. And with me braking way earlier, I just barely managed to stop in time. No flat spots by the feel, which is great. The last thing I need is this wheel trying to rip my shoulders out of their joints. Just take it nice and easy through here. Our race is not with the guys ahead. Take this opportunity to learn some humility. Now I'm thinking that opening up the brake ducts completely may have been a mistake. I feel like that on these long straights the brakes are cooling down and we're losing performance. I should have probably left them at about 33%. Not to mention it would have helped our aerodynamic drag. That's okay. You live and learn. See, I really feel like that wasn't a cut. But the game is very particular on that corner. Now, so long as we don't do that one more time this lap, we should stay away from getting a drive-through penalty, which would be very, very bad news for us. I'm going to see if I can sacrifice some of my lap time, just to ensure that we don't do anything silly, like almost bin it on that corner. Nice and easy. Let the LMP3 have its own race. I feel like my primary goal in endurance racing in GTEs is just flat spot avoidance. Probably the hardest thing to do. Ferrari's very interesting handling character coming into it here. Absolutely terrifying section in this car. There's got to be a way to tune that out of it. But again, very much surprised how at, 104 AI, the LMP3 is struggling so much to create a gap between us. Car dancing around a little bit more than I might like. I just haven't been able to tune all those slightly more unpredictable characteristics out of it. It's very fast, but it's also very twitchy. Oh, that's good. No drive-through penalty. I certainly had that handed to me more than once on that corner. But really getting that corner exit speed out of there makes all the difference. Sometimes you just have to risk it. And no one behind us. So I'd say we're in our own little pocket. We can just get into the zone. Bring the car home, as they say. And having just come off playing AMS2 all night, trying to set some leaderboard times on Suzuka, I've got to say, you know, initially when I compared the two games, I felt like the skill that you gain playing rFactor translated very well to AMS, but not the other way around. So if you played AMS, it wouldn't translate to rFactor positively, but the more and more they work on that game, the more I feel like those differences are being merged. So it's becoming more and more unforgiving in that very realistic way. And coming back to rFactor 2 after driving the Sigma P1 for basically an entire evening, I felt like I was pre-warmed up. Really, really impressive how that game's coming along. It's probably the highest likelihood contender for me to be a game to supplant rFactor 2 as my favorite overall sim. Gotta say that time remaining readout kind of just caused my heart to sink. I thought it was a warning track cut. Hoping our fuel load will last these, what should be around about 6 laps. If not 7. Car sometimes has a lack of stability under braking. Just trying to make sure I bring it home. No flat spot pre's. Still no juddering. Very good. That's one thing I really wish AMS2 would learn from, is to really render those flat spots a little bit more aggressively. So I mean, flat spots are no joke. I've seen them blow out the front wheels of an F1 car. Got to really bring the focus in, don't want to bend the car here. Just stay on the grip, stay on the grip. And we've got that beautiful time of day where we can't see what's going on, but things look really pretty all the same. I'm really guessing where I'm going at this point. That's okay. We're gonna have some nice sunlight soon. Gorgeous. Beautiful, and we can still see the LMP3 there in the distance. 354.8, still so far behind my regular times. I really wonder what's going on. Maybe I'm nursing the car a little bit more than I realized. Then again, these aren't quali laps, so I should just deal with it. Oh man, the changing times of day really added an interesting challenge to doing the tracks. Having to really kind of nurse the lines a bit more. I think it highlights my need to play and to race under more variable conditions. I feel like I'm very much locked myself into a familiar little bracket. Wow, there's another LMP3 behind us. Maybe a 2 given how quickly it's closing. Good on you, guy. But yeah, to drive under more varied conditions and become a more well-rounded and consistent driver, I think that should be my aim for the next year. Hot lapping is very much, it's a familiar pursuit at this point, but developing more racecraft, I think that's the way to go. Anyway, I appreciate you guys bearing with me for this little warm-up before the real events. Hope if nothing else, it's helped sell you on this glorious Ferrari 488 GTE. It's really reminding me of why the 488 is my favorite car in ACC. And I'm really keen for the GT3 versions to come out as well. I hope it drives differently enough to, you know, warrant being a separate purchase. I'm sorry, Mr. LMP. I'm not fond of being someone else's traffic, but you've got to make the move. It's not up to me. It's my line. Until I get blue flagged, anyway. Until I get blue flagged, it's all on. I have no idea how much longer we have left in this race, but just try and stay in it. Alright, Mr. LMP, this is your chance. Make it work for you. Gotta say, the AI in this game are not very aggressive when it comes to overtaking. I don't know what that says down there. I dare not take my eyes off the road. Key is to not spin. Don't spin and bin. Sorry mate, you're just not aggressive enough with the overtaking. Whoop, that's dangerous. Gotta make sure to really keep it within the lines. We do not want to drive through here. It'll be a bad day. Alright, should be nice and safe. Just gotta keep it within the lines for this upcoming set of corners. I think this is probably my favorite part of the track from a pure drivability perspective. There's the most going on, it's the most cambered, it's the most 3D, it's the most hilly. This is the kind of driving I like doing. It's why I like tracks like Spa and Interlagos and the Nürburgring. I like it when there's elevation change. I think Silverstone is probably the one exception to that rule, is the one flat track I really appreciate. Oh, don't do it, don't bin it. I'm gonna let my friend go past here. There we go. As long as I don't get, yep, no drive-through penalty, I'm happy with that. Just gonna hang around and annoy him a little bit more here on the straight, where my GTE apparently seems to have a bit more power. But it might be useful, I can keep him around for the tow, you know? Until he eventually rear ends me and we bin each other. I'm hoping that yellow flag wasn't for... Oh wow, I didn't actually see what happened back there. I was too focused on the turn itself. Now, so long as that fuel tank actually gets me over the line, we should hopefully be okay. I hope. We should have enough for 7 and a bit laps. I think the tyre strategy seems to have worked so far. Let's check them out and see how much we have left. Oh yeah, 92, 93, 94, that's not too bad actually. It's not too bad. Temperatures are okay. We're not going too bad. Alright, so far so good. Brake nice and early. I've got to say, if you're going to set the car up with the minimum amount of camber available, you're not going to have a fun time through those corners, that's for sure. Very recently set this car up for my personal best hot lap on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and I got to say it drove very differently to this. That's what you would expect, two very different tracks, two very different feels. So off camber on that turn and so little grip on the track surface. I think it's one of the things I love about rFactor is that feeling of differential surface grip is so pronounced. Like you can tell that this has a completely different level of surface grip to the bitumen used on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Just two completely different driving feels. Downshift there, kind of overcooked the entry. I'm curious how this final lap thing is going to go for us. Guess I'm going to get across the line before the buzzer rings. Oof. It's getting worse and worse, aren't we? The tyre performance while troll braking is definitely beginning to change a little bit. Alright, so the time has elapsed. Our race is, I'm guessing, more or less over. Just got to complete our final lap and we're in business. There's that rFactor sliding the car at 200 kilometers per hour thing. Of all the things I guess I wish they would fix a little bit with the physics model of this game is the ease and proclivity with which you slide to get top tier times. So you can tell that most of the, quote unquote aliens use this little trick to get their times. Whereas in real life, you really wouldn't be sliding cars like this at all. Certainly not willingly. Wow, are they lapping me? That's awesome. Maybe not. They don't seem as fast as LMP2s. Wow, to imagine that a couple of LMP3s were just kind of stuck in the midfield for the entire race. How soul-crushing that'd be. Happy to give them all the space they want. Their race is not my race. But my line is my line. You're gonna have to go on to the dirty part to get past me. Did I just cause that guy to bin himself? That's his own fault. You gotta commit to those overtakes. Do or do not. There is no try, right? I really, really hope this fuel tank lasts and gets me across the line there. We've got the checkered flags on the screen. Does that mean the leader has crossed the finish line? I'm gonna guess it means the leader has crossed the finish line. Which I guess means the race is over? But maybe we still have to cross the finish line? See, I'm new to this whole endurance racing thing, relatively speaking. I don't quite understand the ins and outs and intricacies of it all. But I do understand when a Ferrari wants to rear over and my... Oh no! And my... I think I just ran out of fuel, guys. Oh no! Oh, what is that, like a whole kilometer before the finish line? Oh no. I don't think we can get it over. I don't think we can get it over the line. They lied to me, they said 7.5 laps, but maybe that wasn't accounting for my stellar and hyper-aggressive driving style. Anyway, let's see where we ended up. Right, so apparently my finish doesn't count. So theoretically we would have finished 8th had the race engineer not lied to me about my fuel usage. But I hope you guys found that somewhat interesting as a warm-up before the full race involving all kinds of big sim racing and real racing names. If you haven't already, give a look to the Ferrari 488 GTE, super fun car, and I'm sure even when they nerf it in a couple of days it'll still be amazing to drive. Probably my single favorite car in this game right now and one of my favorite GT car models in general. So thank you guys very much for joining me. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the sub to stay up to date with all future sim racing news, reviews, and just fun content like this. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.